What's going on, everybody? Happy Saturday morning. Happy Saturday morning. Just want to give a couple, like a minute for everybody to hop on, for David to hop on with us today, for you guys to hop on. Once you guys hop on this series of the Hey Bro Show with us today, will you please comment below with how long you have been with Team Beachbody if you are a Beachbody coach. So comment how long you've been with Team Beachbody. And coaches in here. The women, I see there's some women hopping on here as well. Please share in the comments below if you are the spouse of one of the men coaches, or if you are. We want to know who the audience is with us live today. But we're super excited. So as soon as David hops on, we're going to rock. And he's here. Look at that.
Hey, hey.
Hey. Dude, we're going to get started right away. So we'll just start right now. So welcome, everybody, to the episode number 14 of the Hey Bro Show, called Why Aren't the Men Connecting? So today we have myself and David here speaking and sharing with you guys. I just want to share a little bit about David. He's an 8-star diamond coach. He's a diamond coach in his second business center. So if you don't know what a second business center is, you can learn about that or ask some questions about that. He's a Success Club legend for, I think it's 70 months now, going on to 70 months. He's a 2-time elite coach. He's a 6-figure earner with Team Beachbody, and he's the lieutenant of the New York State Police. He's a husband and also a father of 3 beautiful girls. So that's who my co-host is of this call today. So David, I'm gonna pass it over to you.
Hey, Scotty, and you can hear me all right?
I can hear you.
You can hear me? All right, good,
Yes,
good. Thanks for coming on. And I literally just ran out of the car. I sent Scotty a text, guys. This is just like reality, you know. My daughter had to get her hockey stuff and ran in, but I'm excited. I'm here with Scotty. I got to spend some time with him last week. But, guys, as you know, with Scotty, 14-star diamond, 5-time elite coach, Success Club all-star legend. He is in the Million Club, they call it now. He has 5 kids, 3 amazing daughters who were here last week. I'm spending time with our daughters, and he has 2 more little ones. So an amazing father, amazing coach, amazing success story, and I'm just grateful to be doing this with you guys on our, I think it's our 14th episode. I think it is 14th episode. Being consistent and making it happen as busy parents as we are. So, Scotty, I'm going to kick it back to you.
Hey, awesome. So, as I mentioned to you guys today, the topic today is why aren't the men connecting? And I'm going to hit on just 2 points today. I'm going to talk about 2 points and pass it back over to David. So, as I'm sharing with you, take notes, take mental note of the way that David speaks, the way that I speak, because it's not always the lesson that's being told. Sometimes it's a story that's being told. So, I'm going to talk about the first thing that I see. I'm going to talk about 2 subjects. The first one is, I believe, and this is one of my beliefs, and I've seen it because I work with, like, half of my coaches are men, half are women. So I see what the women do, I see what the men do, both inside of my challenge groups and inside of our coach training groups. So speaking specifically of that, inside of our accountability groups, let's say for the men, a lot of times the conversation or the shares that go out on whether it's inside of a challenge group or whether it's on their social media, whether it's on a blog post or whether it's on a like a team page or just on your public profile. A lot of times I was just on a bike ride with Gabby. We took a 6-mile bike ride right before this, and I was talking about these things, and I was like, you know what, one thing I've never talked about in my whole entire journey, 7 years of my fitness, is a PR. And Gabby's like, what is a PR? Because she's never heard me talk about that. I was like, it's a personal record. And it's like a lot of times when I see guys talk about their fitness journey, it's all about the numbers and the PR. Like, what's your personal, or is it personal record? Yeah. What's your personal record? Like, they're talking about, you know, oh man, I hit 350 pounds on the leg press today, or I, you know, did this or did that. And a lot of times it's just all fitness, getting better at fitness. And that's important. I think it's important that you challenge yourself in your fitness, you become better. But there's a missing connection with another human in the aspect of building a business or building a solid relationship in a business atmosphere that is Team Beachbody. So instead of always posting about and if all you're doing is in your fitness group or on your personal Facebook page, you're posting about your personal best or only about fitness, you're not going to hardly relate to anybody. Because the fact of the matter is, in our society, which is why our mission is so important, is people aren't that interested in fitness, and they're not interested in you getting better at your fitness, and so they don't connect at all with your posts, except maybe one or two people that are like your best friends, maybe, that are doing it with you. So you got to be able to connect with people. I want you to think about make a connection with people, and that's the title of this, is be able to make a connection. So if it's only about fitness, people aren't going to relate. So you've got to be able to talk about things inside your challenge groups, talk about things inside your coach training pages, talk about things on your one-on-one calls, talk about things on your Facebook page that actually make a connection with somebody else, where they're like, dude, I'm just like, that's exactly how I feel. Like I'm in that same place too. What are you? And then they start to get to know you, and you make a connection. Then you can introduce them to fitness. Okay, so that's a lot of men are missing that part. It's only once you do become a coach or whatever, you're talking only about your fitness, and it's hard to make a connection like that. So I'll tell you guys, David and I have never, in like the 5 years or 4 or 5 years that we've known each other, talked about how many pull-ups we can do, how many push-ups we can do, any of that stuff ever in any one of our conversations. Never. Have we, David? Never.
No.
The only conversation, you showed me your gym, and I was like, oh, this is cool. I put a gym like this in my place. So I want you guys to take mental note of that. And I think a lot of the men are so focused on that part, and there's not the connection. So the second part is, like, you guys, I'm going to tell you guys again and again, the person who tells the story the most wins. So if you can learn to tell stories about your life, the saying is, the person who tells the story the most wins. But the psychology behind that is when, I'll just give you the truth of the matter. Take note of this. I won't talk about men in general. I'll talk about everybody, but I'm speaking to the men on this call. Every person struggles with finances in some way or another. Okay? I want you to understand that. For me, for example, I worked 12-hour days, and I only made like $35,000 a year. That's a struggle financially to pay a mortgage that's $1,500, okay? So that's a financial struggle. But I know people who have a six-figure income, very well off in their career, continuing to move, but it's very high stress, right? It's very high stress on them. It leaks into their family, leaks into their kids, and every relationship they have. So that's a struggle financially, because that stress is caused by the thing that creates the financial success of their family. So even though they're successful financially, they have other issues that are stemmed through that financial obligation that they have to keep and maintain that job or to continue growing through that job. I know six-figure income earners on our team and throughout Beachbody who have left, both men and women, who were lawyers with great six-figure jobs, partners, that eventually left their job because they hated what they had to do for their work. Even though they were very successful and they made a great income, they hated it. So as I begin to tell these stories, you can see that everybody struggles in some way or another. You may love your job. You may make just enough to get by and have a little extra for savings and for your vacation, right? Or your 2 or 3 weeks vacation. Everything may seem perfectly lined out, but there's always something, like maybe you have an hour commute or an hour and a half commute, and it takes you away, even though you love it, it takes you away. It's an 8-hour job. It takes you away from your family 10 and a half hours, and you want more time with your family. So there's always a way that, like, I believe that every single man, woman out there wishes that their situation was better in some way, in aspect to their job or their career. That's just a belief that I have. So when I'm telling my story, I'm going to tell my story every single day to every single person that I meet, and every single video, I talk about the day on April 11th. I'm not going to go through it because you guys have heard it before. I talk about the day on April 11th, 2011, when I got to work in the morning, sifted through my bills, and I had the doctor bill, the anesthesiologist bill, the hospital bill, and a doctor bill. And those bills added up to about $3,800. And at the time, I was only making about, every month, about $1,820, $910 every 2 weeks after taxes, insurance, and 401k. And so I literally sat that morning with this overwhelming feeling on my shoulders. I felt like the weight was on me, the weight of the world was on me. I felt like the world was spinning around me. So if you're on this call, like I was fearful, I was scared. Like, how do I need to get another job? Do I need to help Gabby find another job at night that pays more? How much is it going to cost for a babysitter for 3 kids versus 2 kids? How much is it going to cost for this and that? And then you start thinking longer, how am I ever going to put my kids Like, I can't even take care of us right now. How am I going to put my kids through college? How am I going to send them on mission trips for our church? How am I going to help my 3 daughters get married? Like, I can't even take care of us right now, and they're just babies. So these were all the feelings I had, and it felt like the world was spinning around me, like I had no control, and it was scary. And I'm going to ask you guys on this call, comment below. This is for you guys to start connecting. How many of you guys have ever had a feeling like that before, where you felt like the weight the world was on your shoulders, like unbearable, like the world was spinning around you? There's moments in your life that you felt like that, and that morning was like that for me. And that's when I discovered what my why is. And I want you guys to understand, every single person that I talk to every single day hears that story. And what happens is that when I tell that story and I ask them, have you ever felt like that? They'll tell me, yes, I felt like that before. And I ask them, what makes you feel like that? And I'm telling another man this, right? Asking a man this, or a woman. And then they begin to tell me, well, this happened. Or, they've been laying off people at work, and I'm afraid that I might be next, and I don't have a backup plan, right? So, but here's the thing about life is you look at the people around you, the men around you, your friends, they act like everything's okay. Like they love their job's good, they're paying their bills, or they pretend that they can pay their bills and keep up with it. But all of us struggle in some way or another, but they're not going to tell you because of pride, right? A man, in a sort, more generally men are prideful in the fact that they can take care of their family and raise their kids and take care of the family financially. But the fact is, like I mentioned at the beginning of this, we all struggle in some way, form, or whatever. So, but they're not going to tell you that. They're not going to tell you that until you bring down your wall first. They connect with you and be like, man, I know what that feels like. And then they're going to open up and be able to share that with you. So if you want to be able to connect with other men or the women as you build your team, you've got to be vulnerable about what your wants, dreams, desires, fears are in life without holding back. Okay. So that's when I discovered my why, and that's the story I tell to everybody. So I can get people on our team, I can get people that I call to share with me what their actual struggle is, because I'll share with them what I'm struggling with. So that's the part that I want you guys to understand about that. And then the other powerful story that I tell all the time is about 8 months into my journey, I tell people I wanted to quit. Like, I had a 12-hour a day job. My wife was working at nights. I was starting to see success, yes, but I've never experienced success like that. So parts of me are saying, like, you don't deserve this. You are always meant to be a failure. Like, you dropped out of college. You were a drug addict. You don't deserve this. So those things started to come in. I was exhausted. I was tired. And many of you guys could be in this place as well. And I had the moment that I share about the school bus story when I was homesick for 3 days. And I went to get my daughter. My wife says, hey, maybe you should get up, shower, get dressed, get outside, and you'll start to feel better. And I got up, started walking to get my 5-year-old daughter, Keena. She's 10 now. I started walking, and the school bus pulled up. And I remember, like it was yesterday, the doors creaked open. I saw these 2 little hands just grab the little handlebars, take the first step down to get out of that bus. And she looked up at me, and I saw this joy, this smile, just illuminating from her as she saw her daddy there. And I just remember just looking at that, and it stopped me in my tracks. I didn't continue even walking towards it. It stopped me, and tears came down my cheeks, and I had this overwhelming feeling of like, man, it was like a moment of breakthrough and a moment of like potential sadness that I could continue to experience in my life. And it was this moment when I realized that, like, man, if I don't continue on this journey, or if I don't keep trying and adjusting so I can make this happen for me, if I don't do that, how many more moments like this one that I just experienced for the first time am I going to miss with her and my other 2 daughters? How many moments will I continue to miss if I don't change this? And it was that day that I realized this was my bigger purpose. And so I tell people that story as well every single day. And I tell them that, like, that day I made a decision, I'm going to be a full-time Beachbody coach. Like, I don't want to spend my 12 hours a day at work. I want to spend my 12 hours a day with her, with Gabby, with the kids. And that was like a line drawn in the sand that I will make this happen if it's the end of me. And guys, like, I made it happen in 14 months, but I made a decision. If it takes me 10, 20 years, I'm going to do it. It doesn't matter how long it's going to take. But I realized as well that if I could do it, this guy that, like, I'm super shy, guys. I'm super, like, quiet. I'm not outgoing. Like, yeah, and all the past failures, right? All those we could list for days. Like, if I could do this, I could teach, mentor, and inspire anybody to do this. But guys, because I tell stories like that I cried in the middle of the street, right? That I felt like a failure that like I never imagined, guys, having to work 12 hours a day every Saturday, having to send my wife to work at nights just to barely get by. That's not the life that I envisioned when I was younger. And so when the moment came that I realized that that's how my life was going and that it was scary, and I realized that, understood that, and shared with people that that's not like what I expected for my life and what I thought would happen, and how I actually felt during those moments, I'm able to connect with other men and other women on a level that gets them committed to their goals and their dreams. And then together we can work forward to build this business, which is super simple, of doing our workouts, reading personal development, inviting people, and recognizing people. So, David, I went a little long, but I think that's an important message today for the men. So I'm going to pass it back over to you, brother.
No, no problem. I absolutely loved it. And I think, guys, you guys have to ask yourselves the question that the reason why so many of you follow Scotty and the reason why so many of you look up to Scotty is because of the stories that he shares, and then that's why he's connecting with people. Like, you really have to think about the big picture of the stories that he shared and the topic of being, why aren't men connecting? Well, you connect with Scotty because he's real and authentic, and he shares what he goes through, the struggles and successes, and that's the key point of what it is and what this topic, the big picture of what you're hearing right now. But what I want you guys to think about, and what I want to hit on is about two main points, is that I want you guys to write the question down of who are you trying to be? Who you're trying to be. And the one word that should go under that is the word aspire. Capitalize it, box it out, underline it. Because I think what happens in the social media world, guys, is that too often you are aspiring to be like somebody. You're aspiring to be like Scotty. You are aspiring to be like, David Atkins. You're aspiring to be like, other people that you see very successful in social media, whether it's Beachbody, whether they're influencers in other fields. But the problem is in today's age, and you have to realize that you should never aspire to be like somebody because you can never be that person. You can aspire to have maybe the success that they had, or the freedom that, say, Scotty has, or the freedom that I share in my story to get Kristen home to be with kids. That's fine. But it's a dangerous trap, guys, when you start aspiring to be that person, because that's a dangerous trap. And I think what a lot of men do, and this lies into the second point with aspiring, is that men, we tend to let our egos get in the way. And Scotty mentioned that we are people that want to be the providers. We want to be the security for our family. We want to provide financial freedom or the finances for our family. But because of our egos, and we're not willing to share what it is that is our struggles, and because of the platform we're on with social media, we dangerously fall into the trap that we start trying to be somebody else because we're not willing to share, in fact, who we truly are. So the trap, guys, it's okay to aspire to have this success as somebody, but guys, you have to stop trying to aspire to be like other people. Stop trying to aspire to be somebody else. And I was there because I would see other men that are successful in the company, and instead of trying to be David Atkins, I was actually trying to do what those other men were exactly doing and be them. And that's dangerous, guys. And the reason that happens is because we weren't willing to share because of our ego. We don't know what to do, and we find ourselves trying to be exactly like that other person. And that's really dangerous. And my second point to hit on that, guys, is that men are wired differently. We are very mission-oriented. We are very mission-oriented. We see a goal, we want to go after it. Scotty says men talk about our PR, our personal records, our personal best, and that's what we try to focus on. And the thing is, we can't change that we're very mission-oriented, but the thing is that you need to be able to be vulnerable who you are, but you need to realize that I think men then get caught up with aspiring to maybe be like the females in the business that are crushing the business, and we try to get too glitzy and glamorous. And guys, that's not us. Like, I'll tell you right now, my wife Kristen crushes it when it comes to being able to post better than I am. Like, I am just a focus. I'm mission oriented, and I too struggle, but I know I get the most connection when in fact I get rid of the ego and I try to be David Atkins. 3 nights ago, I spoke about how I was overwhelmed. It was a hard post. I was saying that I almost caught myself in the trap. I was saying to Kristen, I don't know what to post about. She goes, why don't you just post about what you're what you're going through right now, as Gary Vaynerchuk says, to document, not create. And I think a lot of men, because of our ego, we start creating posts to aspire to be like somebody that you're not. And because we have our egos in the way, we're not willing to be truly who we are. So that night, my story that night, guys, and if any of you did see my post or you didn't, I was going through a very stressful time at work. We had a very large takedown to take down some very, very violent individuals that I was overlooking a lot of the operations for in the state police. And I have a team that's growing and expanding international, right? We have Beachbody that's growing. And guys, I was strung out and stressed out and overwhelmed, and it was late at night and I was tired, but I shared that and it got a lot of engagement and it got private messages, and I was able to take down that wall and just, Kristen's just like, just share what you're going through. And there was a relief in being able to share and type out what I was going through and to share that. So I want you guys to realize that you need to be you. You can aspire to have the success or goals of some other things that other people have achieved, but stop aspiring to be like Scotty or stop aspiring to be like me. Like people will say, oh, you're motivating, you're aspiring, or whatever it is, or they'll say that. I know those people say it to Scotty. You are you and you're your individual. If you're a dude and you're trying to lose a ton of weight and you're like, nobody's going to relate to me, no. I want you to share your story and be the best version of yourself and stop aspiring to be like somebody else. And when it comes to your ego, when it comes to you want to be providers, I get that. I'm the same way. I tell Kristen, you know, when we go through struggles or whatever it is with finances we're trying to achieve, I feel the stress more than that she doesn't feel it, but I feel that pressure, right? But then I try to, maybe I catch myself trying to be somebody I'm not. And it's very normal for guys. So I want you to self-reflect when you get off and think of, why is it that Scotty connects so well? He just shared 2 very powerful stories, and that's why, because he's connecting, because he's taking down the ego, he's sharing those stories. And I want you guys to think about, when you get away from this call, are you trying to be somebody you're not? Are you trying to duplicate exactly the way Scotty and I speak or share, which really isn't you? Maybe you're somebody that's better at writing things out. Maybe you're a video guy. Maybe you realize, I'm just hard to break down the ego. But I'm telling you, there's other men out there that you have to realize that you're getting caught up because it's about you. And when you take it off of me and you go to we and realize that when you share these stories, as I like using Scotty's example, you will connect with more people, you're going to have a flip of a switch. It has to come off of me. And when you're willing not to share, it's because it's just about you. And when it's just about you, you're not going to be willing to share. But reason again, that when you go to we and you take the focus off other people and you stop aspiring to be like somebody else and you be yourself, you're going to have thousands of more people that are going to connect with you. That's the difference, guys. So stop aspiring to be like somebody else. It's a dangerous trap. You can aspire to reach the goals they have, and understand it's okay that we're mission oriented, and you don't need to have the glitz and glamour like a lot of the things that comes natural to the females. They're good at that. That's great. I can't be that. I can't be Kristen. I have to be just sharing and being raw. And that's the way men are. But you have to be willing to share, take the me out of the picture, and focus on we. And when you focus on we and realize it's not about you, you're going to have more men and even more females that relate to you. So, guys, that's my points to wrap it up about aspiring and mission-oriented and ego. Scotty shared some great stories. I know he just came off a bike ride. I flew in the driveway to get up here and get on this call, but it's about, we're focused, we're mission-oriented, we're sharing our stories. So I want you guys to have an amazing rest of your Saturday. I'm going to close it as we always say, guys, man up, and remember, take the ideas and put them into action. Have a great Saturday, guys, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.
See ya.